In the natural order of things, in the nature of being a parent, it's not in the natural order of the power vested in us to procreate as human beings, not as a subspecies, but as the pattern for all species, what we call ourselves human beings. It's not in the natural order of the power to procreate or parent for a parent, male or female, to abandon that which they bring forth from their loins through procreation, through sexual intercourse, through love making. It's not in the natural order for the mother or the father. It's not in the natural order to have a community where a high percentage of fathers can justly be accused of being absent. This is not natural to maleness. This is not natural to manhood. It is just in the code given to our gender that even as men, we have care, we have concern, we have interest, we have emotions, we have feelings, we have a internal desire for bonding, for protecting, for nurturing, for guiding, for providing our offspring. It's in the natural order of the man to do all of these things. So when we hear women say they have to do it all, what we must understand as a community is that something has upset the natural order. It is not natural for men, and I'm speaking as particularly about black men, to not be available to their children, to prefer being absent. That's not natural. When you see an unnatural condition, someone has tampered with nature. Someone has altered the natural proclivities, inclinations, impulses, the natural attunement. When you see an unnatural condition, someone has interfered with nature. So how is it that so many of our women today can assert with a high degree of truth, this is not an absolute, but with a high percentage of truth, a high rate of truth, that many of us as men, and I work with men, I've probably worked with now well over 400 men in the last 3 to 4 years exclusively. What has happened to black men that this is so common? What we leave out of this paradigm, males and females, what black men and black women, what we leave out of this paradigm is something has interfered with our nature. And I'm talking about black men specifically in the United States of America who are genetic descendants of black people who were stolen from the continent we call today Africa. Something has happened to us, and it's still happening to us. And it creates a condition where our women have been put in a position and permitted to arrive at a position where they have access and can develop easier capacity to do it all, to be it all. Something is at work. And so we need to understand that at black men, we've got a lot of making up to do. Many of us, not all of us. Many of us are on the case. Many of us have been there from day one. Many of us refuse to walk away. Many of us do not let our struggles and our difficulties, our financial shortcomings, etc., allow us to become absentee. But many of us do allow those things to make us absentee. Whichever side of the spectrum you find yourself on, the reality is something has happened to our community. It's not natural that you laid down with a man and produced a child and he takes very little or no interest in that child. Something happened between the natural order becoming unnatural. Something impacted that. And if you don't educate yourself, raise your consciousness to understand, black woman, what came in between the natural order of things that put a burden on you, then much of your emotional energy will be misdirected toward the person who, for lack of a better word, is the victim. Because we cannot make you a victim until we make your natural protector and provider a victim. We cannot make you, we cannot take you out of your God ordained status until we interfere with the God ordained status of your God ordained counterpart. And so I see this kind of talk frequently about how I have to do it all and I've done it all, and I want somebody to come along so I don't have to do it all. I understand, but what we don't understand is we cannot afford to have these monosexual conversations anymore, where one is all on one side of the gender perspective. Only one side of the gender perspective is deficient, and the other side is just a super being, so super, so powerful, so dynamic, so special, so magical, and the other side has no magic. The other side is less than. The other side is so inferior, while at the same time I'm realizing I need the other side, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I can't solve the problem. I can't fix the equation because the equation is imbalanced, because I don't care about how we have been socially engineered, because society has made me an MBA, a professor, a pharmacist, a doctor, a business person, an entrepreneur, a leader of corporation, a manager of corporation. I'm extracting from society great financial, material benefit and reward. Therefore, I do not believe there's a need for me to be politically incorrect or politically radical. I've never developed the capacity to appreciate the politics at play, the social engineering at play that allows an imbalance in the gender perspective in the black community in particular, and allows one side of our gender to be a victim to their white female counterparts, and the other side to be a victim of their white male counterparts. But our victimizations look different. The black man's victimization results in him being incapacitated. The black woman's victimization it results in her being empowered materially, educationally, in terms of social status, etc., but robbed of her power that is associated with her deepest femininity. Not sexiness, not sexuality, but divine femininity. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I know these comments may be controversial, because some of us find it very, 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 very hard to take any constructive conversation about ourselves. Some of us find it very insulting to even suggest we need to correct ourselves in any kind of way. But I'm going to end this with something, a common saying. It's a religious saying, if you will, and I don't want to make this religious. You cannot spoil the strong man's goods unless you first bind the strong man. Look at your men. Are they bound? Who bound them? Were we all bound at one time? Well, who freed one gender and has kept the other gender bound? What's doing that? Who's doing that? How is that happening? How are we still so at odds with each other? How are we still suffering so much to create successful, committed relationships?